This show is supported by you. Stick around until after the news to hear some more about that. This is Cup of Go for Friday, April 3rd, 2026. Keep up to date with the important happenings in the Go community in about 20 minutes per week. I'm Jonathan Hall.
And I'm Creed Haymond.
Creed? Where's Shy? Oh, I forgot. Shy's on vacation right now. Welcome, Creed.
Hello.
Thanks for joining today. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about who you are, since I don't think they know your voice?
Yeah, I'm Creed Haymond. I've been a lurker in the community for too long. It's time to put a voice now to my name.
Nice.
But yeah.
Cool. And where do you work?
I work at Epic Games.
Whoa. And do you use Go at Epic?
Starting to.
Nice.
There are teams that actually have historically been using Go, but our team is now beginning to adopt it.
Very cool. We'll talk about that a little bit more. So stick around. You're going to want to hear about how they use Go at Epic. But first, some news. Why don't you kick it off, Creed, with this announcement?
Yeah. First announcement is there is an upcoming security release for Go 1.26.2 and Go 1.25.9. This is a pre-announcement coming out on Tuesday, April 7th. And it should be fixing 8 CVEs. Let me just read those codes for you.
Yes. And memorize it. It will be on the test later.
Yep.
All right. So stick around. Next Tuesday, you'll want to keep your eyes out for the new version of Go and upgrade to avoid 8 potentially serious security problems. Also this week, Go team published a new blog post. This one from Mark Freeman called Type Construction and Cycle Detection. Creed, how much do you deal with Go types?
I'm pretty sure when writing Go, 100% of the time.
Yes. So we all use Go types, but you probably haven't thought about them as much as this blog post details. It talks specifically about how types are constructed when parsing a Go program during the compilation. Walks through some simple examples. Let's say you have type T, that is a slice of type U. And then you have type U, that is a pointer to int. It just sort of goes through like what steps does the compilation process go through to construct these types. And then it goes into some more complex examples, circular types, where a type refers to itself. And there's not really like a main takeaway from this, except by reading it, you'll know more about how types work in Go and how they're constructed. The reason this came out recently was because they made some improvements in Go 1.26 to how types are handled internally. It should not affect how you use Go. So you don't need to worry about this if you don't want to. But it makes it a little bit more, I think, efficient and just sort of cleans up some corner cases. And they mention, without being very specific here, that this is setting us up for some future improvements in Go. So don't know what that means. I hope it means union types, but we don't know.
I think it's really it's all about, the new Go TypeScript compiler. They wanted to compete and be able to describe more types,
That's got to be it. So anyway, it is a good read, especially if you're into sort of nerdy stuff about how your language works under the hood. But it's not going to fundamentally change how you write Go. So it's up to you whether you want to go read that one.
Very cool. Next up is there's a cool blog post by... what is it? PackageMain.tech. Alex, I'm going to butcher your name. BO2. Describing building a Whales application using desktop app building experience, but you can build it in Go and a front-end framework of your choice. Really kind of cool. Just describes building this application.
Isn't Whales kind of like Electron written in Go? Or am I confusing myself?
It's somewhat like that. I think there's also a Rust one like Tauri or something.
Okay.
I think the idea is that instead of booting up a full Electron app or a mini browser or something to consume all the available expensive memory on your machine, it just uses like a web view or WebKit or something. Okay. I think most operating systems have that available to load up a web view. Whales specifically will generate a little bit of like JS bindings. So it's almost like a little RPC. And you can code, most of your logic if you are writing it that way in Go, and then have it bound to little functions you can call and rendering your application on the front end.
Okay, so that's what Whales is for those who didn't know, like me. But now that's not the point of this post. This post is something specific in Whales. Sorry to interrupt. Continue, please.
Oh, that's okay. And a lot of it, I think, was about that. But it actually kind of goes through building a two-factor auth application, and goes a little bit into how it works, some of the bytes and issuing of certs and stuff. It's a pretty cool little post, digestible, and I think links the source code as well. So yeah, might be a cool little, if you're interested in building desktop applications or two-factor, take a look.
Nice. Thanks, Alex, for the post. It just came out a couple weeks ago, so it's pretty timely. Next up, I found a little post over on dev.to called Native Chaos Engineering, Testing Resilience with Fault and Latency Injection. So you've probably heard of Chaos Monkey. I think Netflix invented this thing, right? It's like the idea is monkeys running around your data center and plugging cables, and like, can your system withstand that?
I call that my kids.
Yes, yeah. Definitely. So anyway, the whole Chaos Monkey is part of the larger sort of methodology, if you will, or whatever, about chaos engineering. The idea of intentionally breaking things to prove that your system can keep working when things break. And so this blog post goes into doing some of that natively in your Go code. So it's about how to a little configuration file here to configure how frequently and how randomly things break on your system, putting in circuit breakers, some stuff like that. So it's not a long, super detailed one, but if you're new to this concept and you want to, or new to doing it in Go, this is probably a good post for you. My chaos engineering usually is limited to running on preemptible containers because it saves me money too.
That's a good idea. Is this something that you add to your application, wrapping HTTP clients, so it's like simulating, hey, network disconnecting, stuff like that? So
it's specifically about doing a chaos injector middleware. So I think this would be limited to like maybe a web application. But so it's not going to be as robust as something that runs external to your application. But it's a good start to doing something, some chaos engineering in a web application.
That's really cool. All right, and then we have this gpdf, a pure Go zero-dependency PDF generation library.
Why do I need another PDF generator?
And you know what? It's the coolest format. I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure AIs love it, way better than Markdown. / sarcasm / I don't know. Put my hands up like, oh, maybe you've got a cool resume and you want to build it with purely Go, all the way down. But yeah, I mean, kind of cool. What makes it different? Standard library only. Wow. Cool. It also has an awesome landing page. So it's front-end design, whether or not the dev did this themselves or got a little help from AI. Hey, it looks great. A pure Go zero-dependency PDF generation library. First class CJK support. Don't know what that is. And declarative 12-column grid design. Cool. And there's even some really good docs and a little GUI editor built right into the site for building PDFs. So nice.
The thing that jumps out at me is the benchmark results. Now, I'm always a little bit skeptical when I see someone's own benchmarks, right? Like, what was the test case? The only PDF library I recall using in Go was GoPDF, and this claims to be 10 times faster.
Wow.
And they also mentioned a couple others, Go FPDF or GoffPDF. I don't know how that's pronounced. And Maroto. I don't know what that is either. But of the four, Go gpdf is by far the fastest. So if you need fast PDF generation in Go, I think this is one to check out too.
I'm curious what the use case of like really fast PDF. I guess like if you're a company, you're generating reports on demand. Sure. I've had to wait before, you click the get me a PDF.
Especially if you're doing them in bulk, you don't need to make thousands or hundreds of thousands every month or something. You might want that to run faster. So yeah. All right.
Very cool.
I'll check that out next time I need to make PDFs in Go. We have breezed through the news this week, but I think that's okay because I hope we're going to have a very interesting conversation about Go and Epic after the break. We do have a couple of lightning round items and a quick break before we jump into that, though. Creed, will you stick around to talk about that?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks for listening to Cup of Go this week. As always, we're sponsored by you, our listener. If you're not already a Patreon, we'd love to have you join. It can be either free or a small amount of money. I don't remember the number. Is it $3 a month or $4 or $8 or something like that? I don't know. Cupofgo.dev. I should just pop it up and I could look at it myself.
200.
That also works. Yeah. We have 61 Patreons right now. You could be number 62 or 63 or lucky 64. We love those powers of two on this show. You can also support the show non-financially just by telling a friend or a colleague about the show, leaving a rating wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we also have some fun swag. If you'd like a t-shirt or coffee cup, that kind of helps the show. Like it's mostly subsidized, but like technically we might get a few cents off of each sale. Let's see. I think the only other thing I want to mention in the lightning round is I guess I'm sponsoring the show now. I am looking for new clients. I had a contract wrap up. We'll be wrapping up next week. So if you are looking for some part-time Go help, check out boldlygo.tech/subscription, where you can see how I do a non-hourly subscription. I don't like to charge per hour because I think it's bad for the client and for me. It's bad for everybody. So I do a kind of unique way to sell my services. Check it out. boldlygo.tech/subscription. I think that's it for our break. I want to talk to Creed about what he does with Go. First, a quick lightning round, and then we'll jump into that conversation.
Lightning round.
All right, first in this week's lightning round, I am announcing a fork that I have made. Now, I'm kind of reluctant to announce this because I've only been using it personally, testing it, but I have forked Golang CILint. And I really, really don't want to be competing with Golang CILint. I think it's a great product. I'm going to keep using it, and I'm expressly forking it to add a very specific characteristic to my fork. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm trying to steal the ideas or anything from there. But Gopherlint, github.com/flimsy, that's with a Z, FLIMZY, /Gopherlint, is a fork of Golang CILint that only adds bug fixes between major Go releases. The purpose of this is I was tired of my linter breaking every 3 months or so when new great features are added to Golang CILint. But I don't necessarily want the new features. I just want the bug fixes. So that's what I'm doing. Whenever Golang CILint releases a new patch, I cherry pick the bug fixes, include that, and that's all I do. Or Claude does that for me, whatever. So if you're interested, if you have the same sort of concern about your linter breaking between Go releases that I did, you can check it out. Gopherlint, right now it's at version 1.26.2. Basically, the 1 and the 26 match the Go 1 and 26. The 0.2 is unrelated. That just happens to be how many iterations I've made. But 1.26.x will be stable, no breaking changes until 127 comes out. Then I'll tag 127. That's it. That's my lightning round item.
Very cool. Well, I have one kind of just a sort of a shout out to a great library that I was using recently, the Valkey Go. It's Redis Valkey. If you're interfacing with Redis or Valkey, it's a great client implementation. Specifically, they have this feature auto pipelining. So any idempotent, so like gets and such, it can actually kind of behind the scenes batch them all together and send them as a pipeline operation to Redis and get all those operations back in the same thing. This is great for high throughput stuff, as long as you're not worried about head of line blocking or some other problem. Because if one operation is taking a little longer, then all of them in that batch kind of get impacted. But yeah, great library, good docs. I don't know. It was just something I found that was very surprisingly efficient and easy to use for my use case.
So is this a library you would use when you're storing your millions of PDFs that you've just generated?
Exactly. Precisely,
Nice. So
where are you going to put all those PDFs?
You got to put them somewhere. So remind me, is Valkey like a fork of Redis, or is it a completely new product? I I know that Redis like did this controversial "we're not open source" thing anymore a while back or something, and that's where this came from. What? Tell me this history there just briefly.
Yeah. Now I might get it kind of wrong, but
we
like
won't hold you to
it. Yeah, these are my opinions. They don't reflect anything from. When Redis changed their licensing, Valkey, I believe it came purely from Amazon, but it was like an official open source fork of Redis at the time. I think what happened too is like Amazon's interest in hosting Valkey became that they could like fork it and then not pay the licensing or whatever that Redis was going to cause to them. So they gave discounts to folks to move over to it. But it was a fork. It has diverged since its forking. So like now they're kind of like supporting slightly different feature sets from what I understand. But like the core, I mean, if you're just looking for a cache, I'm sure you could swap one for the other at any time. And from what I understand, I think Redis has now also maybe walked back some of their licensing. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, I can't follow that either. I know some of the big players have changed licensing and changed back, and I don't remember if Redis is one of them or not. Okay.
Oh yeah, Elasticsearch was the other one. Maybe I'm mixing this. I could be crossing the two stories because the same thing happened with Amazon and OpenSearch.
And HashiCorp did similar stuff too at some point.
Oh, that's right.
With Terraform and other things. Yeah. All right. Let's end the news segment here. I want to talk about games. I don't know how you write the games in Go, but we'll figure that out. That's what's coming up next year. So stick around for a conversation about Go at Epic. All right, Creed, tell me about, just be a wide open question here. Tell me about Go at Epic. All the new games are written in Go now, right? Is that basically the TLDR?
That is right.
Yeah.
You got to understand, Fortnite is now 80% Go. No, I'm just kidding. I'm total joke. Which, by the way, I should just a quick note. These are my personal opinions. Anything I say or do don't reflect the views of my employer, Epic Games.
Right. Understood.
There's my thing. But Go at Epic, which is, I will speak purely from like my own team and organization perspective, because there are actually some orgs in Epic that have been using Go for, I don't know, historically. But depending on what, org structure you're under, ours, which I work for Epic Online Services, which is a pretty cool like game developer APIs, essentially, that game developers can add to their code to keep stats, achievements, like all these things that they want. They can use these game APIs in their games, and we have an SDK and everything. Well, I help build the web services that power those. And historically, they've been in Akka Scala, which is, really fun. Akka is like the actor, like a really popular actor framework, functional paradigm for, big Java ecosystem built under that. However, Akka, speaking of licensing changes, they changed, I guess Lightbend, I think, as the owns Akka or whatever, created it. They changed the license on there. And anyway, so there was migration work essentially to start rewriting a lot of these services that we have, or start porting them into either Peco or Java Spring. And I actually came from Amazon before I worked at Epic Games, and also wrote plenty of Java there. So I'm not a wolf in sheep's clothing, I swear. I'm a gopher, all right? Okay. I don't know what that would be a gopher equivalent of the wolf in sheep's clothing, but...
Gopher in ferret clothing or something? I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, man. Anyway, that being said, as my team personally, like we struggled with this whole starting to rewrite stuff in Java Spring. Struggled in the sense that, like, as we were doing a lot of this work, we kept on running into all these roadblocks. And to be honest, like our critical team of like our core team, I should say, specifically, we all took issue with the paradigms of Java and Spring, and it just and Gradle, the build system that we were using to build all this stuff. And it's like you have to learn an entire language to build your application. Gradle, that's Gradle for you. And then it it kind of came down to like, actually about a year ago, I had heard enough complaints from my teammates. And I'm not one to like, step in and be like, hey, by the way, this language is better than all your languages. And let's just port everything over, just willy nilly. But I'd heard enough that like, I approached my team and was like, hey, I don't know how you guys feel like we have this opportunity. We're sort of re-architecting and rebuilding a few of these systems. We're at this hinge point of like, we could decide maybe we don't want to actually use Java Spring. Like, what if we just did that? And I kind of pitched to them this idea, like, hey, some of them are relatively familiar with Go from previous work. And so I pitched the idea like, hey, look, let's start using this. And a year ago, they said, actually, yes, let's totally do this, and kind of proposed it. And it was summarily shot down by somebody else who kind of said like, no, like only this one org can write Go, without a whole lot of like specific reasoning. But anyway, more recently, just at the end of this last year, kind of right before the winter break, on a whim, I was actually trying to prove out a different like architecture for a specific application. And I decided like, I actually, anytime I'm doing a proof of concept in, almost anywhere, I did this at Amazon as well. I just write Go so much easier. I'm more fluent in it than I am, even though I write Java every day. The build system is worse. So anyway, I did this proof of concept, rewriting stuff, and I used Claude as my faster hands. And Claude and I, badgered him into getting this proof of concept up, and it actually formed up so well that I load tested it and against a similar like production load against and did a side-by-side comparison of Java Spring. And it was so good that my manager was like, oh my gosh, write this up in a proposal, because like we could save quite a bit of money and also headaches and all this stuff.
So when you say it was so good, like by what metrics? It was faster, it was easier to write, it was... What?
It was, yes, all the things. Like obviously, okay, caveat being like, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of like languagey folks that are like, I'm sure it's just like an architecture difference. You could squeeze out the same performance in Java if you worked hard enough. Yeah. But that being said, like our team was already on this like the cusp of not really wanting to do any more Java Spring. There's just not jiving with them. Also, this whole AI advent of like, hey, look, the language doesn't matter as much. Yeah. And Go is very explicit. Kind of like that article a couple months ago somebody put out that was like, Go is great for... Anyway, but yeah, the benchmarks for even like I did my own load testing where I did one version where I forced a single pod with the same memory and CPU, and I could get like 48,000 requests per second. And this isn't just like a hello world. This is like a full-fledged, like the same architecture of this application doing all the same work. It's mirroring the exact same traffic load as like our production workload. So I could get like 48,000 RPS where I could only get like maybe 4,000 out of the Spring equivalent with like a quarter of the resources as well. So it was a really fun benchmark. But it honestly was so good that my manager basically was like, hey, let's clean this. Like I know I was more just kind of trying to prove like a separate point, but he was like, let's actually write this up and show it to leadership and say like, look, with AI and everything in our teams.
You were trying to prove the architecture, not the language, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then he's like, wait, this language is also pretty cool for this project.
Yeah, okay. It worked out great. Speaking of which, the Valkey Go client was in this architecture. So actually that's part of the reason I'm shout out right there. Way to go, guys.
And this week you'll be adding gpdf.
Exactly. The next one is generating PDFs. What do you know? At 100 times the X speed. But yeah, it was a great experience. And now we're starting to write some of our stuff in Go, starting with just a couple of services that we're already like in process of re-architecting and going great.
Cool. That's a fun story. So you're kind of at the beginning stage, it sounds like, of like making it the transition. Like has it been officially approved that you can start switching to Go now?
Stamp of approval. Yep.
Nice. And you said that Go has already been used in other teams at Epic. What else is it used for? Other than rendering Fortnite.
Yeah. Exactly. The game clients you download are actually Whales apps. Written in React and Go.
There you go. Nice.
The one team that I'm I'm confident 100% of their stack is in Go is the EcoSec. So I believe the ecosystem security team. So they do a lot of security work. I can't even speak to all the things that they're using it for specifically. Not on the team, but yeah, they've been using it for a while. And actually, even they were kind of like helped me out in this kind of like pitching Go for other things, because they were like, we originally wanted more people to adopt it internally, and not to like just take everything over, but in reasonable spots where it made sense. It runs lighter and it runs cheaper and it writes clean. So yeah, great place.
Cool. As a gamer, at what point is my gaming experience being affected by Go?
Ooh, well, anytime you're trying to match into a session or even creating a session,
okay,
or when your stats are being saved and achievements are being earned and leaderboards are being tracked, all of the things that can kind of be done asynchronously outside of the game loop, the hot loop, like, to be honest, this is don't tell anybody, but I don't actually play very many video games, but I know. It's kind of crazy. Yet I work here and it is a blast. I absolutely love working here. But anyway, there's like the hot game loop where you're trying to keep up FPS, somebody strikes here and you need your like game server to actually have that state in the same spot for other people connected to that game. That is not what we're writing. Those servers and sometimes clients like on, people's desktop machines, maybe after a big match, will probably batch upload like a number of stats that they earned. And that's where our services are taking over, is like sort of the longer term cross-play compatible things that are, saving your achievements here so that they show up on your PS2. I mean, PS4, whatever it's. You can know how up to date I am.
It's like a PlayStation. Now, but it's just the PlayStation, right?
Exactly. Yeah. PlayStation, computer, all that stuff.
Yeah. Got it. Cool. Yeah. That sounds like fun. So how long have you been using Go?
I've been using it since, off and on, since I was in college. I found it. Let's see, this was back in maybe 2017. I think it was 1.5 was the version at the time, 1.5 or 1.6. And then I used it at Nozzle, where I rubbed shoulders with Derek Laird of the Forge, the Go West conference. Derek Laird and Mariah Peterson. I regularly kind of rub shoulders with them in meetups here in Utah. But yeah, I've been off and on using it there. I only actually worked full time in it at one job. This was at Nozzle in Utah, which was great. But I have kept it in my heart and soul. I am a gopher since then. Nice. Cool. And been using it for various tools here and there since then.
That's awesome. It's fun to get a peek behind the scenes for a brand that we all are at least familiar with. I've never played Fortnite, but I'm sure I've played some Epic game before. But I certainly do play games occasionally, so it's nice to get a sense of how something like Go is used at a place like that. Now I'm going to put you on the spot, so I forgot to tell you this ahead of time.
Oh no!
But since you're now not only a co-host but an official interviewee, I have to ask you the stumper question.
Oh boy!
And I hope you have an answer. Take your time if you don't. The question is, what is your favorite third-party Go library?
Oh, it's funny because like any other language, and there'd be 1,000 of them out there, like Java. It's like Spring is my favorite third-party thing because it's not Java. But Go's standard library, man, it covers so much that you really got to stretch for your... Now, I think I want to say, well, the easy answer is saying Valkey Go because it's so, recency bias. But outside of that, this is kind of goofy, but Tint. Tint is like a log coloring, like a log coloring library. And I'm not like always hey, give me all the flashy rainbow colors of logs. Normally, to be honest, when we're running in production or whatever, it's always just slog, no colors or anything. It's just regular JSON logging. However, doing stuff locally and running things locally, I can't sit there and parse JSON logs. My brain, it explodes. And so I love adding Tint for the human readable And yes, colorized, warn, error, info, debug, logs. Just it's a great one.
That's a good answer. I like it.
Nice.
Yeah, I've used it. I don't use it in every project, but I've definitely used it. It's a good answer.
Yeah.
Well, Creed, if our listeners are interested in following your epics at Epic or reaching out otherwise, can they find you on social media, maybe GitHub or something? What's the best place to reach out to you?
You can definitely find me on GitHub. That's almost my main form of social media at Creedosaurus, Creedasaurus. Yeah. Creedosaurus. I'm on LinkedIn. I have an X and maybe a Blue Sky, I think. But to be honest, I don't use those very much. Or the Gopher Slack. I am definitely there.
That's always a good place. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Creed, for stepping in while Shai's gone and talking to us about Go at Epic. It's been a pleasure. Hope to see you again.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Program exited.